Welcome to Who Wrote That Up for You, a daily podcast that shines a light on the American justice system and its role in empowering the powerful to take from you. The justice system is the only branch of your government where an individual, rather than the collective, can make the system act for you. It puts power in the individual's hands, but it's broken and being used against you at a time when you need it most.
And welcome to Who Wrote That Up for You. I am Sonia Ebron, co-founder at Courtroom 5.
And I am Deborah Sloan, the other co-founder at Courtroom 5.
Delightful show lined up for you today. In a few moments, we will speak with Ted Edwards. He's a principal at the Banks law firm here in Durham, North Carolina. Founded in 1994, the firm is the largest minority-owned law firm in North Carolina. So we'll be excited to hear some of the great work going on at the firm. Before we get there, Deborah, what is on your mind today?
Well, I want to talk about a case in the Court of Common Pleas in Allegheny County, Pennsylvania. It's a case of the tenants who have filed an emergency injunction to prevent to prevent their apartment building from being taken, or for to prevent them from having to leave their apartment building. They had a deadly fire back in December, and basically the building was condemned, and it needs a bunch of either repairs, water related, just fire related repairs. But a lot of the people aren't able to leave. Aren't able to find another place. Rather, there are some are elderly, some who are very poor, some who just they just can't leave right now, and so they can't meet that January 13th deadline. And so they're asking the judge to give them more time, and basically the county to help them find places to live. And the reason why I bring this up is that I like that people can see how their lives can change, or how a court can make a difference in their lives. I'm hoping that they get what they need, that they're able to find places and to live until their building is repaired. That's what I'm hoping. But I'm really glad that they see the power of the courts.
I appreciate you bringing it up. It's so important. I'm reminded the Legal Services Corporation, the primary funder of legal aid programs in the nation, publishes a justice gap report every few years, and the latest one was just last fall. And one of the things they noted, in addition to the fact that 86% of low-income people just have no access to legal services when they need them, the more startling result in that report was that there's so many other claims that people might have, or ways to use the court, uses of legal services that people don't even understand as legal problems, right? And so many things that affect our lives, we just accept or forbear because we don't understand them as something that a court can address. And so it's really good that to see these people standing up and trying to get some help from court in such a critical issue. Yeah,
Mhm.
appreciate you bringing that up. Well, at Courtroom 5, we believe the courts belong to the people, in particular to the people who use them. And we, the people, are coming to claim our courts. So if you are in court without a lawyer, or you need to sue someone and can't find a lawyer to represent you, get yourself over to courtroom5.com. Try a limited version of our services for free, and we hope to provide some relief for you there. At this time, it's my pleasure to welcome onto the show Ted Edwards at the Banks Law Firm here in Durham, North Carolina. Ted, thank you so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Fantastic. I want to hear first a bit about you and your background and how you ended up at the Banks Law Firm.
Sure. So I'm originally from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and I grew up. Both of my parents worked for UNC, and I grew up hearing about the civil rights movement, in particular, as it related to getting rights for people that worked at the university. You may know that at UNC, at least for a long time, like housekeeping and dietary functions were almost 100% done by Black people. And so there was a lot of tension at the time when I was growing up between the university and workers that were trying to get rights and trying to get benefits from the university. And they would tell me stories about how it was through the legal system that they were able to make advances and get rights that they should have had the whole time. And so that really encouraged me, and it allowed me to see that the law was a vehicle for change in a way that people could make progress through the court system. And so that really gave me a desire to become a lawyer so that I could be an agent of change.
That's extraordinary, and I appreciate you and the attitude you bring to the profession. And so, you should also know I'm also a native of North Carolina, so I know those stories as well. So tell me, you went to school here in North Carolina, got a great education that prepared you for a bright future in the legal profession. Do you want to share some of that as well?
Sure. I mean, I've really been blessed. Let me just say, people poured into me and encouraged me and pushed me. So I was able to graduate from the North Carolina School of Science and Math here in Durham in 1987. And then I went on to Duke for both college and for law school. And so was able to get a really good education that gave me a solid foundation to do what I wanted to do. I practiced law in large firms for the real, I guess, the majority of my career. And then in 2015, I had the opportunity to come to the Banks law firm. Um, One of the things that had really sort of struck me as I was getting involved in the practice of law was how there just really weren't um, black owned firms. And the Banks law firm where I am, as you said before, is the largest black owned firm in North Carolina and South Carolina for that matter. But also it is one of the few firms that has a corporate focus. And so, and I just really believe that um, helping minority businesses succeed is really a pathway to empowerment and improvement in our community. And so when I had the opportunity to come here and be a part of that, it was a no brainer for me.
That is a very privileged position. I want to talk about how you make a path for other young Black lawyers in a moment. But before we get there, tell us what you do, what the Banks Law Firm does for businesses in North Carolina and the Southeast.
So Sherrod Banks founded the firm in 1994. And I would say that our core is affordable housing, working with housing authorities around the state. We represent most all of the major, how not just major ones, but housing authorities around the state. And so, but we have expanded from that, like I said, to develop a general corporate law firm. And so I lead our litigation section. And so my focus is on commercial litigation and assisting businesses that have obviously corporate disputes. I have a particular specialty in construction litigation, but we do a general commercial practice.
Got it. Got it. Fantastic. And so, what can we do then, through litigation or otherwise, to increase the amount of affordable housing available?
Oh, the affordable housing is, I mean, the it takes a multifaceted approach. Um, so, in addition to working at the firm, I sit on the board of the North Carolina Housing Coalition, whose primary focus is to increase affordable housing. What I would say to you is that the number one thing that we can do is we have to convince our representatives to make affordable housing more of a focus. And by that, I mean just bottom line, we have to put more money into the system. I could tell you, we could spend the rest of the day with me telling you stories about various housing authorities that are frankly struggling to maintain the buildings that they have in good order. The federal government gives very little funding for maintenance of buildings, and so it's very difficult to maintain the units in good order with the funding that they have. But in addition, all of the housing authorities have long wait lists. Um, and so there is just a huge need to build more affordable housing. Um, because of uh, politics and because of cuts to the HUD, Department of Housing and Urban Development, um, housing authorities have funding has actually decreased relative to the need over the last 20 years. And so it doesn't take a math major to know that if the need is increasing and the funding is decreasing, that is going to lead to problems. And so, what I would say, probably a longer answer than you want, but it is that we have to really encourage our representatives to make funding for affordable housing a priority, and to have a source of recurring funding that's set in the state and federal budgets, so that it's not just a year to year kind of hat in hand kind of situation, but it is that there is a sort of permanent source of funding, and that is proportional to the need. Because I mean, you don't have to be an expert in affordable housing to know that housing prices are increasing greatly, and that working people are having difficulty finding places that they can afford to live, and it shouldn't be that way.
Agreed, agreed. Thank you. I appreciate the thoughtfulness of your answer there. So, government funding is one potential solution. Increases there. That's a no brainer. We need that to happen. Are there market solutions? I know you're a lawyer, not an economist, and so I don't want to take you too far afield. But
Well,
what
yeah,
would you?
you know,
Yeah.
one of the other things that I think has a lot of potential is increased use of public-private partnerships, where we get private developers that are wanting to build new apartment communities, new single-family homes in our cities, that the government can enter into public-private partnerships where some of that those units are set aside or made available to subsidize housing. And in fact, I think that is a one of the things that we really ought to be doing a lot more of. Um, it is not a good solution, in my opinion, to build what in the 70s and 80s were referred to as housing projects, where we concentrate um, low income people in one area of town, and then there's a stigma associated with that area. It is much better for everyone if um, subsidized housing is included with uh, market rate housing, and so that children from market rate families and children from subsidized families are attending the same schools, and they are interacting with each other, and so that there is not that type of stigma. And the housing authorities, I'm pleased to tell you that housing authorities have already begun doing that much more. If you were to look at the newer communities that housing authorities around the state and the nation are developing, you'll see that it is a mix of subsidized and market rate housing that they are building. And but I would love to see more of that on the private side, where in the private market, developers were are required to have some affordable housing in with the new housing stock that they are developing.
This is a
Some
fascinating.
areas are doing more, better at that than others, but it should be universal.
It should be, absolutely. Let me ask you then, can property law speak to this issue at all? Right? Are there natural rights that people have for housing that litigation might have some impact on?
That is a good question. You know, what I would say to you is I think that there is potential for that, but that's not where we are today. That's not the law today. Um, Now, and I'm just being real, and I'm a practical, simple guy. And I don't think with the current composition of our Supreme Court that that's likely to happen anytime soon. But that doesn't mean that that the effort is not worth it. Change happens slowly, and so I definitely think that there is opportunity for the law to be pushed in that direction. But I just what I would say is that that is a long term strategy that I don't think is going to happen this year.
Not for a while. I appreciate that. All right, let's bring it back then. So you are again in a very privileged position as a Black attorney working at the largest Black-owned firm in the Carolinas. I mean, that is you must go home happy every day as a result of that. And but it's a result of, as you said, people pouring into you, getting a fantastic education here in North Carolina. And so there are Black attorneys graduating from law school, every year. How do we reach, not we, because I'm not a lawyer, but how do you and firms like yours and successful Black attorneys like you reach and create a pathway for their success?
Thanks for that. That's something that I really think a lot about and try to put into practice. I really believe that we have as Black lawyers, and more generally as successful people in general, we have a responsibility to pay it forward. We have a responsibility to reach out to young people in our profession and to mentor them and to help them. You know, I have been blessed so much by other older attorneys and judges that helped me when I was coming out. Um, we have to keep doing that, and I think we have to do more of that. We have to, you know, there. One of the things that I think is generally true is there are generational differences with this younger generation, and I know I sound like an old man, but like the younger people now, my experience is that they are less likely to reach out and to make connections. They're like interpersonal contact is not as much what they feel comfortable with. They're much more comfortable on their devices and communicating via text or some other way like that, and which oftentimes creates like a gap between people that are not of their generation that are used to people picking up the phone and calling them or seeing them in person at some event and creating a relationship sort of what I would call the old fashioned way. And and that's definitely been true in the legal profession. And what I think is that we have to be more proactive as the older generation to meet them where they are and not wait for our phone to ring and not wait for them to you know figure out how to reach out to us, but like we have to reach out to them because sometimes you don't know what you don't know. Sometimes you don't know what you need, and you know we have to invest in them and help them sort of so that we can continue to build on the progress that we've already made. I come from a family where, um, you know, like my mother. I mentioned earlier that I graduated from Duke, and I'm just so proud that like my mom graduated from Central the same weekend that I graduated from Duke, and
Wow.
she put herself through school, and I was so much more proud of what she did than what I did because it was a lot harder for her. And well, I say all that to say that like we have to, if we're going to continue to make progress as we have generation over generation, we have to pour into these young people and help them so that they don't have to learn all these lessons for themselves, because that's a long and tiring and hurtful process. And if we can save them some pain and some pitfalls, we got to do it.
Got to do it. Absolutely. Congrats on your mom. Just for our listeners here, Central is North Carolina Central University, the historically Black university here in Durham. And so, congrats again to your mom for that. That must have been
Thank
a
you.
wonderful day for you both.
It was.
Fantastic. Well, I know that you all at the Banks Law Firm do a good job of reaching out to younger Black attorneys, and just I'm grateful for that, and want to encourage you to continue to do that, and for young Black attorneys to reach out to you all, knowing the door is open for mentorship there. Let me ask you then. You all put on the Triangle Golf Challenge every
Yeah.
year. It's a wonderful celebrity golf tournament here in Research Triangle Park. Tell us about that and what your goals are for it.
So, one of the things that I really love about working here is that we do have a commitment to the community. And so, when Sherrod Banks founded the firm, he also created a charitable foundation called the Banks Foundation. And so, our firm, we put on the golf tournament that you mentioned through the Banks Foundation, and what it is, the money that we raise from the golf tournament goes to help people make their down payment on a house. And so we are, as I mentioned before, affordable housing is our sort of primary focus. And so we help people that are in public housing who are trying to move out of public housing, which that's the goal, is to move people out of public housing into home ownership. And so our foundation helps people that are in public housing by giving them help with coming up with the down payment on a home, which you guys probably know just from practical experience, that is often the biggest barrier. It's not that they can't make the monthly mortgage payments, but they can't make that down payment that you have to make on that mortgage loan. And so that's what our foundation does, and that's what our golf tournament does. And so, I'm really glad that sort of we are, not just talking the talk, but walking the walk. And really, it's just so gratifying to see, that tangible difference that our foundation makes in the lives of people.
That's right. That's right. When you find yourself in a position to give, that's what you do. And so, really appreciate the firm's work in that regards. I know you also put on a fantastic Christmas party every year.
Oh,
That is also a fundraiser. You want to share a bit about that and the goals
yeah,
there?
yeah. We do the Christmas party at the Marriott every year. We do that we partner actually on that one with two other law firms that when Sherrod Banks founded our law firm, the three law firms. Uh, James Rogers and Butch Williams, they were all originally next door to each other down in Brightleaf Square. And so they started having this Christmas party, and then decided to use it for a charitable purpose as it grew. And so each year we pick a charity. Last year we worked with the Aphasia Foundation. Aphasia is like people that have strokes, that have difficulty speaking. We've been working with them, and we also, so every year we pick a different charity, and that was the one for last year. But we also every year we work with Toys for Tots, and so we do a clothing drive and a toy drive for Toys for Tots every year. And so we always rent out the entire Marriott ballroom at the downtown Marriott, and we'll have 1,000, 1,500 people there, and we're able to, it's just amazing to to see the toys and the coats and the clothes that are donated, and so I'm glad we're able to do that, and we have a good time.
That is the key. If you're going to do good, also have a good time.
Yeah.
Ted, I'm going to share your law firm's website on the screen for our viewers, the Banks Law Firm at bankslawfirm.com. Where else can people find you all online?
We have our Twitter and a LinkedIn account, so you can find us on both of those things. And then you can also find me individually on Twitter and LinkedIn.
We'll make sure folks have the links to that in the show notes. Thank you so much, Ted, for joining us today and for sharing so much good news about the Banks Law Firm. Really appreciate the good work you all do, and we'll stay in touch. Thanks so
All
much.
right. Well, I'll look forward to it. It was a pleasure talking with you all, and feel free to call me back whenever you like.
You
All
bet.
right.
Fantastic.
All right.
Fantastic.
He don't know we're gonna hold him to that. Okay.
No doubt, no doubt. I'm going to hit you up for that Christmas party invitation
Yeah.
this year. That's for sure. That is great. So, Deborah, we just have a few minutes here, but tell us about the answers to the last quiz and what you have teed up for next.
Okay, we have this scenario. Tori was sued by Big Bad Bank for failing to pay a credit card debt. Before Tori could respond with an answer and affirmative defenses, the bank sent her a request for admissions. Tori thought it was too soon for this type of discovery and did not feel compelled to respond. Is not responding wise on her part? The answer is a huge, big, resounding no. I should have made that much bigger. Of all the discovery not to answer, don't make it be the request for admissions, because if you do, then the other party can say, okay, the other party can move to have anything you didn't respond to admitted as true. And so Tori is not, it's not a good idea for her not to answer. Okay, so today's quiz. A blank is a court order that compels a witness to testify at trial or at a deposition. Is it a summons? Is it a complaint? Is it a subpoena? Or is it a pleading? So we will see the answer to that on our next show.
That is great. Looking forward to seeing that. Good, good, good. All right. Well, that's all we have for you today. As always, thanks for joining us on Who Wrote That Up For You, and we will see you next time.
Are you feeling beleaguered, angry, or afraid, as if things are spinning out of control and you're powerless to stop them? It's easy to just let things slide and hope they don't get worse. But they often do get worse. The thing is, you're not powerless. Our courts belong to us, and their purpose is to give power to the powerless. Don't let your grievances pile up without redressing them. You can handle this in court. Or, if someone takes you to court, you can take them to school.